holidays, but I know today is something special. Let's see, Memorial Day. I believe it's Memorial Day. Seems like the internet does not even know when Memorial Day is. That's not good. Well, today's a holiday. Hope you're all having a great day. Take time to reflect, relax, enjoy yourself, and be happy that we have the freedoms and abilities that we all do. Rain says, good morning from South Africa. Hello, hello. Good afternoon for you. Yes, that is right. Today, we're going to be doing something special. We're going to be reviewing a $2,500 buy-in tournament. We made day 2 of it. Day 2 starts at 3 p.m. today. We also made day 2 of a $100 tournament that starts at 1. I have literally no clue how many chips I have in the $100 tournament. There are some quality poker sites operating in America right now, and they don't actually tell you how many chips you have. They just say you qualified, which is actually very confusing because, if I knew I qualified with 2 big blinds, because this was one of 20 tables we had going on, I maybe would have played additional entries to the tournament because there were multiple day 1s. But I don't really know how many big blinds I have on that one because I wasn't really paying attention. So that's good. Yesterday we did play online. No really good runs. Took like 30th place in a $50 tournament. Had 1,000 people, but that doesn't really give you much money back. I think I got like $300 for it or something. But we have 2 day 2s, including one day 2 in the $2,500 tournament. I don't really know how many chips I have. I think it's something like 70 big blinds, which is a lot. Just about $15,000 in equity. So in theory, if I was in for about $7,500 yesterday and we have $15,000 in our pockets, then I guess we're good to go. Louis Philippe said he made day 2 of the Scoop main event with loads of chips. Awesome. Congrats. Good luck. So let's do it. Let's go through some hands. Before we do go through some hands, though, we actually have something very cool lined up for you. We have the 30-day tournament preparation challenge. We just released this for the Poker Coaching Premium members. If you're not a Poker Coaching Premium member, you can actually get a week for free right now. Go to pokercoaching.com/tournament challenge. And every single day, starting today for the next month, we will be giving you something to do to study poker and to improve your skills. It's no better time to learn than when you have a little bit of time on your hands. I know a lot of you have at least some additional time on your hands, so you might as well make the absolute most of it. Hear my kids screaming their heads off outside. Maybe they'll come say hello at some point. We'll see. Can you complete the 30-day challenge in 7 days? No. You can complete the 30-day challenge in 30 days, though. We do have some 7-day challenges on Poker Coaching Premium as well. We'll be adding more of those. Is this live? Well, it's on about a 4-second delay for YouTube, I believe. So, I guess call it live. Close enough. So, I have a few hands selected for us today to go through. This is again from a $2,500 buy-in tournament. Let's take a look. Here's someone raises. Early position. MS Chu seems to be a good reg. We like to 3-bet the aces. That sounds like a good plan to me. He does call. Flop comes Jack 9-2. I think this is the $2,500 tournament. This actually may be the 100. Well, I'm pretty sure it's the 2,500. Okay. All these people's stats look reasonable, so it's probably the 2,500. So we 3-bet. He calls. Flop comes Jack 9-2. A lot of people get scared at this point and think, oh no, I am afraid of running into pocket jacks or 9s. But in reality, we just have the best hand basically every time. So we're going to be betting frequently. And I'm just going to go bet here unless the board runs out kind of bad. So turn is a 9. And now we have to ask, can we continue value betting? Well, how many 9s does he have in his range? And the answer is probably not a ton. Because remember, he raised early position and called a 3-bet. So I'm really only worried about like Ace-9 suited, which there's diamonds and clubs. King-9 suited, Queen-9 suited, Jack-9 suited, 10-9 suited, 9-8 suited, 9-7 suited. And he may not even open all of those. So there's really not a ton of combinations. What is that? We'll just list off something like 14 combinations of that. How many combinations of jacks are there? Well, there's Ace-Jack, King-Jack, Queen-Jack suited, Jack-10 suited. It's a bunch of those. How many overpairs are there? Kings and queens, right? We beat those. And I think a lot of those can call. Also, there's a decent amount of draws available. He could easily just have something like king 10 that I don't want to give a free card to, or queen 10 or 10-8. So I think we need to value bet. So we do go for the value bet. He does call. River is a queen, and he checks again. Take a second, ask yourself if you'd value bet this. And if so, how much? GGY says, thought this was a review of your 2500 from yesterday. This is a review of the 2500 from yesterday. The problem with ACR is that they don't actually list the buy-ins for any tournaments in your database for some reason. Because again, it's a really quality program, this ACR. You can't tell that as a joke. ACR is not a quality program. It is a atrociously bad program. So I don't actually know. I don't definitively know this is the 2500 because I made 2 day 2s yesterday. But I'm pretty sure it is. Let's see. These won't call your 3-bet out of position. You don't really know that definitively, Louis Philippe. I mean, it's not like I made some gigantically big 3-bet. I definitely think some of those would call the 3-bet. Maybe like King Jack offsuit doesn't, right? But like most ace jacks will. Queen Jack suited definitely will. Jack 10 suited definitely will. So I definitely think that it is reasonable to think he has some combinations of jacks. So is this a good enough spot to go for 3 streets? The problem is we now lose to pocket queens, which certainly was available. That's a hand that would call the 3-bet, check call flop, check call turn, check call river most likely. We're again losing to the jacks. We lose to the random 9s. But I definitely think we need to value bet. And given there are lots of sporadic draws we could have that missed, like ace-x of spades, like ace-x of clubs, maybe stuff like king 8 of spades, king 8 of clubs. There are a decent number of bluffs available. So I think given there are a decent number of bluffs available, I think I probably just want to bet kind of big. This is one of these scenarios where you have to ask, am I trying to make the bet that makes the most logical sense to try to get called by a jack? Or am I trying to make the bet that is a little bit more game theory optimal? And I think against good regs, which I think this MS2 player is a good reg. He plays a lot, and I don't know if somebody knows who he is, just feel free to out him here. I think this is a spot where we need to just go for the jam. If this was the Queen of Spades, would that change our betting? Yeah, obviously. The Queen of Spades is terrible for me. The Queen of Hearts is great for me. Well, great enough, right? Obviously, a 3 of Hearts would be better. But no, Queen of Spades is terrible. Queen of Clubs is terrible, too. Queen of Hearts is basically a blank, besides it improves queens. So no, we have a very good hand here. I mean, I guess it improves 10-8 suited if he happens to have it. So anyway, I think we need to jam. This definitely puts them in a pretty rough spot, and it's good to put your opponents in rough spots. You want them to know that you're just not going to make their life easy in these scenarios. So I think jamming's fine. I definitely agree with some of you that going for a small bet could easily be better, especially if the opponent is just like going to call every time, you know, if I bet small, because obviously I want to get called here. The problem, though, is that if you're playing against good regs, you want to take the line that's a little bit more balanced, I think. So, anyway, I think this is fine. Is a spade much of a factor since you have the ace of spades? It's a factor enough. Like, if this was a queen of spades on the river, I don't think I would do that. If you jam the river, you only get called by hands by beat you, right? No. Queen jack will obviously call. Ace jack may call. King jack may call. If he happens to have, like, king queen, that's going to call. King queen suited, obviously, that's going to call. If he has queen 10, that's pretty likely to call. So, no, absolutely not. Wouldn't it be possible for him to have ace-king suited or king-queen suited? Sure, he could have ace-king suited or king-queen suited. Ace-king or ace-queen suited. But yeah, I mean, this is a spot where you definitely don't... You always want to ask, can they call with some worse hands? And the things you have to realize is, again, we're not playing against a weak, tight player who's going to fold everything besides a good overpair, right? We're playing against someone who I think is a good reg who's going to hero call appropriately. So given I think he's going to hero call appropriately, I think we have a pretty easy bet. So we do jam. He folds. Here we have ace-king. We raise it up, get called, get 3-bet. By, normal-ish looking stats. Take a second, ask yourself what you do here. Actually, I'm pretty sure this is a $2,500 tournament now, so that's good. I'm starting to remember some of these scenarios. Glad we're doing what we said we're going to do. So, I'm always a little bit cautious in this scenario. The problem is that when we call with ace-king out of position, if we do get an ace or a king on the flop, it's kind of unlikely we get paid off for a lot of chips because the opponent's going to realize at some point that we could just easily have that top pair if they're bluffing. So this is a scenario where I think we probably just want to call, but 4-betting is definitely viable. And 4-betting is viable because we likely have the best hand. The problem is if we 4-bet and get 5-bet, it becomes very miserable. So I think this is a spot where calling is usually my default, but it's not particularly great. Why min raise so deep? Because we're playing 24 tables, and this site does not make it easy to use bigger bet sizes. Not a good answer, I know. I would typically make it a little bit bigger if I was playing at full capacity, but I don't think it matters all that much in general. But yes, I agree we should probably be making it 2.5 or 3 big blinds. Problem, though, is that when we're playing all the tables, it becomes a little bit more difficult. Everybody outing everybody. Good. Galen Hall, Turk Malloy. Okay, good. Good to know. Keep throwing them out for me. All right, so anyway, I think you can go either way in this scenario. We do call, flop comes 9-8-2, check fold, and that's fine. This may not seem like all that impressive of a hand, but I think something a lot of people do that I think is probably just wrong is in a tournament, when we are deep, when we are playing a slow, structured game, I think you want to take the lower variance lines, and 4-betting definitely leads to going broke sometimes. If we 4-bet, we're obviously not folding if it jams. So I think this is probably going to be better in the long run, although I could definitely be wrong about that. Wouldn't it be better to play fewer tables? Maybe. Definitely could be. I'll tell you what I do, is I load up all the games that are running $50 bind and higher whenever I sit down, and then I'll just keep loading up every $50 and higher game. And what I do is I have a slew of tables cascaded from the top left to the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, sort of. Actually, it's more from like top left to the bottom middle. And then on the right-hand side of the screen, I'll have all of the bigger bind games. So I had a few $600 games. Thought I was going to win the $600 game I won last week. I was like second in chips at one point, but then I did not win. Anyway, so we have like the $600 game over there. We have the $2,500 game over there. I'll put the slow $200 game over there. And usually, like if I'm making some deep run, I'll put that over there as well. So we usually have like 4 tables that are effectively tiled on the right, and there's like a slew of mess in the middle. And for the slew of mess, we just end up playing something like, probably a low return on investment strategy. I'm not playing like nitty. I want to make it clear. Whenever you play multiple tables, you should not be playing tighter. That's not the goal. You should just be playing, like you're going to make some subtle mistakes, right? Actually just reviewed for poker coaching members. It'll be going up at some point in the future. The $600 win from last week, I reviewed every hand. And I also reviewed the $50 win from last week. And there were probably like 4 or 5 things in every video that were, not what I would do if I was giving these games full attention. But that's the sacrifice you make. And you have to ask, am I still profitable despite making 3 or 4 mistakes over the course of a long tournament? And I think the answer is probably yes in the softer games. The question is, does that detract from like $2,500 buying games? Clearly, you should be giving these full attention. But I don't really think it matters if you min raise versus 2.5x versus 3x. I really think it's very, 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 very negligible. Very negligible, the difference. Type in your bet sizes and big blinds. Yeah, so I actually am paranoid of typing in bets on this because multiple times, for some reason, I'm pretty sure I typed in like 2.5 and it's made it 25. So I don't type in bets on this site because I'm telling you, I've seen myself type 2.5 and it comes out 25. So I'm all for typing in bets normally, but I'm not typing in bets on this site. Okay, since Negroni recommended my content, you learned a lot. Well, good. Glad you're learning a ton. Are you defending at appropriate minimum defense frequency if you fold ace-king? On this board, probably. I mean, this is a pretty bad board for me, right? Like, in terms of bad boards, this one just nails my opponent. Also, obviously, you could have aces, kings, queens, jacks. Like, I mean, this is a spot where we should be under-defending a little bit. Understand, Edward, you're not trying to defend at minimum defense frequency, especially when you're out of position, especially when you're unlikely to realize your equity well. This is like when, say, under the gun raises and big blind calls, and it comes like ace 9-2. The big blind should be check folding a ton, despite minimum defense frequency being like 80%. They should be check folding, I don't even know, 60% of their hands or something, because they're in such terrible shape. So you do not have to defend at the minimum defense frequency on the flop, and you should not think that you have to defend at the minimum defense frequency on the flop. We discussed this thoroughly in the poker coaching homework and also in like tournament masterclass, in the cash game masterclass that's coming up. I make it very clear Minimum defense frequency is a good concept to be aware of, but when you're at a range advantage, nut advantage, or I'm sorry, range disadvantage, nut disadvantage, and when you're out of position, and when you're going to realize your equity well, essentially that's what all those three things will make happen, you should be defending less than minimum defense frequency. Smoking cannabis improves your poker game. Well, I suppose people who enjoy smoking will agree with you. But you would call with the ace-king backdoor flush draw. Yeah, I'd be more inclined to call if we had backdoor flush draw for sure. Why is this showing me my opponent's hands? I don't want to see their hands. Okay. What percentage of the pots do you win with nothing when you get first place in a tournament? I don't know. Is it possible to win a tournament without stealing a ton? No. Well, I mean, look. Obviously, you can just get hit by the deck, right? It's definitely viable to get hit by the deck. Sometimes you get hit by the deck. However, you're not going to get hit by the deck all that often. Oscar, you're very welcome. Louis Philippe says, in the new book we have coming out, there's a good chapter on big blind defense and defense frequency. Good. About mastering small stakes. He took second place in a 321-person tournament. Congrats. All right, here we have raise. We can call our 3-bet king, queen suited. This is a great hand. We get 3-bet. We get called. This is a pretty rough one because we're going to be dominated a lot in this scenario, but I think we still want to call. King, queen suited is great. I'm basically never folding here. Queen, jack suited, jack 10 suited. I'm calling all those. King, jack suited, I probably call too. This is a dicey scenario, though. You definitely have to worry about being somewhat dominated by either of these players, given their stats are both kind of tight over the small sample. We flop a good draw. It goes bet, call. All right. We have two options. We can either jam or we can call. The problem with jamming is that I'm not sure I'm actually jamming many hands for value, right? So if we're not jamming many hands for value, then we should not be jamming many hands as a bluff. However, if we can ever get the opponents off of the ace-high flush draw with a jam, that would be very valuable. And if we can ever get the opponents off of marginal overpairs with a jam, that would be very valuable. And it's also kind of unfortunate here that notice if we call, pot's going to go up to, 70 big blinds? So we're only going to have a pot size bet left, which is going to lead to the opponent jamming on the turn a decent amount of the time. So this is a tough spot. Andy Frankenberger, a less experienced player than me, he would advise folding king, queen to the 3-bet. That's good advice for people like yourself, Andy. I'm not folding king, queen suited here, ever. Literally never folding. If you're the better player, why would being dominated be a big deal? It increases the odds your opponent misses. No. Look, you don't get to win every single pot where everybody misses. That's not how poker works. Especially in multi-way pots, you don't get to win every pot where everyone misses because someone's just going to be betting. What heads-up display do I prefer using? This is one that I don't know, I've had for a long time. If you're a poker coaching member, you can get it. This is Hold'em Manager 3, just using a heads-up display that I like. And if you're a poker coaching member, send us an email, support@pokercoaching.com, and we'll give it to you. All right. Anyway, here we have two options, call or jam. I think the play that's going to work out the best is just to jam, because you can already tell that what's going to happen very often is we're going to face a turn jam when we miss, and when we hit, we're not going to face a turn jam, which is a big bummer. So I think the line that's probably best is to just shove, and you may say, didn't you just advocate taking a lower variance line with the ace-king a second ago? I did, but notice here, the pot's already 67 big blinds, which is huge. Do you think the nut flush draw and overpair would fold to a jam? I don't know. Depends on how bad it is. Like if it's ace-6 of hearts, could fold. Certainly could fold. Would pocket nines fold? Maybe. Pocket nines could definitely fold. Amano, viewer number 200, welcome. If you're enjoying this, click like, click subscribe. I would appreciate it. I don't know. you still stand by the 65% pot size bet or less for the majority of situations? No, it depends on the scenario. Depends on range advantage and nut advantage. If I'd said something like that, it was probably quite a while ago, and we've gotten better at poker since quite a while ago. Anyway, I think I'm going to rip it in here. It's kind of it's not a great spot to rip it in against good players, like I said, because I really don't have any bluffs or any value bets here, I don't think, because I don't have 7-4. Don't you want nines to call? No, you would always rather the opponents fold. EQUI. I'm going to prove to you that you would like nines to fold right now. All right, let's say our opponent has 9-9. We have king of hearts, king of hearts, queen of hearts, king of hearts, queen of hearts. Board is 7-4-2. 7 of diamonds, 4 of hearts, 2 of hearts. Okay? We have 53% equity. Okay? If we get it all in against king, queen, what will the total pot be? All right, so in this scenario, our whole 103 will be in, their whole 103 will be in, plus an additional 10, let's say. So that's 206 plus 10 is 216. Let's call it 220 because there's a little bit more money. 220 times 0.53 equals, minus the 103 we're putting in, equals 13 big blinds of profit in that pot. Okay? So would you rather get 13 big blinds of profits, or would you rather get 67 big blinds of profit when you jam and they fold? Obviously, you'd rather them fold, because you get 67 big blinds when they fold, and when you get called, you get 16 or 13, whatever the number was. It was way less, right? So no, you would basically always rather your opponents fold if they have a decent amount of equity. And you're going to find here that you would pretty much always want your opponents to fold, even if you had a good hand in this scenario, because whatever they have is going to have 30-ish% equity. And imagine we're getting it all in for a 200 big blind pot, even with, let's say 65% equity, which is hard to do. That's 130, and that total that we're going to get back, and we put in 100, right? So we're profiting 30 big blinds if we have 65% equity. So would you rather have profit 30 big blinds or 67 big blinds? Obviously, you'd rather profit 67 big blinds. What's a good strategy when your opponents play literally any two cards? Play better cards than them. Explaining why you want nines to fold is wasting time. Well, I hate to break it to you, but we like answering the questions that come in, and I think a lot of people don't understand this concept. A lot of people think you're ahead, you want to get called, right? But no. What was that formula? The total pot times our equity in the pot minus the amount we've put in the pot. Should we push harder and more often to increase fold equity? I mean, I'm pushing a decent amount of the time. I'm raising a decent amount of the time. Anyway, I'm just going to jam here, I think. I don't love it, but the alternative given this pot size is going to result in us getting jammed off the hand on the turn, and that's really bad. By shoving, we have some fold equity, and we get to see the turn plus river. So I'm okay with this. And we get it in pretty bad. He has the 8-7 of hearts, but we spike on him. This is how we win tournaments. All right, here we have a raise. We're going to 3-bet it. Oh, I just flat it. All right. I don't mind the flat when the opponent gets shallower. Obviously, 3-betting is fine. Fine and probably good. I'm okay flatting here. Look, if this was offsuit, I would definitely 3-bet. But suited ones, I'll at least consider calling sometimes. So anyway, we do call, check. We will value bet here. I think I can even go a little bit bigger. Again, this goes back to the idea of, maybe I'm not focusing quite well enough on all the tables, because I think a bigger bet size in general is going to be good on this coordinated board. We do get called. Turns 2 of clubs. Obviously, this is not a great turn. This is one of these spots where we have the best hand a lot, but actually, I don't think we have the best hand as much as you all may think. This guy could definitely be slow playing. He could definitely have ace-king as well, which betting doesn't really do us much good because he's not going to fold. He could have aces and be slow playing. He could have sets, right? So I think we can go either way here between checking or betting, depending on how tricky we think the opponent is. Yeah, I think either play is fine. The question is, can we bet turn and jam river if the river's a blank? And I think it's close. The problem is, like, if the guy does have queens or jack, if he has queens or jacks, he's going to fold to a river jam, right? If he has queens or jacks, so he may hero call a river bet. And that allows me to just always call a river bet as well if he bets, which makes us not get stacked by him when he does have me beat. So I'm okay. Checking here. Does checking open the door to get bluffed off the hand? Oh, I'm not folding. I'm not folding on basically any river besides a queen or a jack. If it's a club, I don't care. I'll still call. River's a king. He bets kind of big. Take a second. Ask yourself what you would do. Kevin Smith says you're late. Or good morning. Good morning. Better late than never. If you're enjoying this, click like, click subscribe. With low equity hands here, after running the numbers, you like to bet the flush card very large. Yeah, sure, if you have low equity. This is not low equity, though. Ace-king has lots of equity, I think. Like, if I was sitting here with ace-jack or something, with jack of clubs, I would definitely be betting. So we have a few people saying jam, and I think jam is actually not a good play here. And the reason I think jam is not a good play is because he's not going to fold a king. But he probably doesn't have a king, because I have a king. So if he doesn't have a king, it means he has something either way worse than a king, which is always going to fold to a jam, or he has something better than a king, which is always going to call a jam. So this is a spot where I think if I raise, I'm almost always going to be getting called by the better hands, and only a few worse hands can call. So this is a neat spot. I don't know. It's one of these scenarios where I definitely agree that we have the best hand most of the time. In this scenario, when I call this bet, I expect to win a ton. I don't even know, like 80% of the time or something. But when I jam, I'm not sure he's going to be calling off with much worse. Like if he has king, queen, or king, jack, I'll probably call. But that's it, right? He may not even open king, jack under the gun offsuit. LA says fold. Don't fold. Literally never fold here. Literally never fold. Whenever you bet flop, they check call. It goes check, check on the turn, and then they bet. Never fold good hands. So anyway, I like it. I think this is a pretty easy call. He does have... Ooh, queen, 10 of clubs. Saved ourselves there. That's good. Notice... this could have gone horribly wrong if we just bet turn and jam river. I suppose he could have check jammed me on the turn. I guess I would have had to fold, but check jamming here would feel really rough. Anyway, queen, 10 of clubs. No, it's covered up by the stats, but I promise you that's what it is. It's a little bit see-through, which is all you need. Queen, 10 of clubs, we lose. Move on with our lives. Dustin says, good morning, good morning. All right, here we have pocket jacks. We open it up, get called, check. This is a spot to either check or bet small. I'm usually betting small with the vast majority of my range here. If the river comes a club, what is the plan? Call if he bets. You have to realize, whenever a four flush comes and you're playing against good players, and you got to presume most of the people in the $2,500 buy-in tournament are pretty good, they're going to have the adequate number of bluffs in their range, and if anything, they may be over-bluffing. Because good players are capable of turning stuff like bottom or middle pair into a bluff, whereas bad players usually are not capable of that. So this is a spot where I'm just not folding if the river's a club. At certain levels, they never bet unless they have it. Yeah, at certain levels, but definitely not in $2,500 buy-in tournaments. Remember, we are not playing against weak, tight players here who just always have the nuts when they bet. We're playing against good players. D5 says banana is a very good rag. Good, thank you. Keep telling me everyone who's good. I don't know anything about any of these people. I literally don't know anyone. Oh, Ace's Joker. There we have Mike. Well, never mind. Maybe not gonna out the people. Know who Ace's Joker is. All right. What do we do here? We bet the flop, he check raises us. This is a spot where against weak players, you actually could conceivably just fold immediately. I think it'd be really nitty, but if you tell me your opponent's literally never bluffing and their range is exactly flush draws and queens, then you should fold. But I'm playing against a good player who could have all sorts of stuff, right? Good players are going to be defending their blinds wider than weaker players, so he could have all the flush draws, whereas bad players may not have 5-3 of diamonds and whatnot. He could easily just be check raising something like 6-5 of clubs. I think that's reasonable. Something like king 10 of clubs, that could be reasonable. So it seems like a pretty nice spot for me to call. And in reality, I can already tell you I'm probably just calling down. Should you make an S-Corp if you're trying to go pro? You should talk to a tax advisor. My accountant is Teresa Fox. You should definitely talk to her. She is the go-to person for everything poker tax related. Fold. He could have Queen Jack. Certainly could have Queen Jack. Certainly could have a whole lot of other stuff too. So anyway, we're going to call. And in reality, I'm only folding if this runs out with a diamond. If it doesn't run out with a diamond, I'm probably just going to end up calling down. And the reason is because when River does not bring a diamond, all the diamonds are going to feel at least somewhat inclined to bluff. Not saying that they will, but they'll feel at least somewhat inclined to. And we beat some sporadic value bets that may turn into a bluff. Like a 4, right? This is a spot where the opponent does have to be kind of careful, though, because I could just have a queen. Anyway, call the flop bet. He bets turn. I'm not going to fold. We're going to call here. He checks river. Well, this is another one of these spots where I have the best hand basically every time, but if I bet, he's probably going to call only with better hands. So I think we just need to check it here. Because if he has a flush draw, unless he has like exactly a 7 of diamonds, he's probably going to fold to a bet. Kenneth says small bet. I think small bets you're going to find particularly bad when your opponents could just have the nuts. Small bets are good when your opponents are never going to be check raising you as a bluff. Like say I do bet 4 big blinds here, and he jams me. What do we do? Well, good people are going to be check raising me with some bluffs sometimes, and that's going to result in me folding, which would be awful. Like literally awful. Jerry says, you're a new poker coach and premium member. Congrats. Could we 4-bet fold that ace-king on the first hand? No. Don't 4-bet ace-king and then fold it against good players. I just saw that someone was 20 years old. Oh, here it is. Lewis, happy birthday. Congrats. 20 years young. Teenage years are over. It's all downhill from here. Actually, you might as well enjoy it. I wish I was 20 years old again. Someone asked if I've considered adult entertainment. I would if I was 20 years old again, that's for sure. Can you have 8s through 10s here? Sure. Banana can check to induce. Yeah, look, I mean... Again, I don't know who this banana player is at all, but I do know I'm playing a $2,500 tournament, so my opponents are probably not fish. It sounds like a lot of you are used to playing against really weak, tight, straightforward players. If you're playing against weak, tight, straightforward players who literally never have a queen when they check, then value bet, right? Because you have the nuts. But we are not playing against a weak, tight player. We're playing against somebody who had $2,500 sitting around on an unlicensed, unregulated site, which means they don't even care about their money all that much. So you have someone who's buying it for $2,500, which is already a lot, who clearly doesn't care about money because it's sitting on an unlicensed, unregulated site. So the guy has to be either a lunatic or very good at poker. And looking at the guy's stats, they look reasonable, they look good. This guy's probably not just a nit. So anyway, I'm going to check here. How much would we bet if we had a queen? We would go all in. How much would we bet if I had a busted flush draw? I would go all in. So anyway, check. He has the 10-2 of diamonds. We win. Notice someone said call the flop raise and fold to a turn bet. Notice that would have been like the worst possible line. Do I stream myself playing these live? No. That does not work with my life currently. We have kids running around the house being crazy. And I cannot sit here and stream all day every day. All right, pocket queens. Facing a raise. All right, everyone, tell me who these players are now, too, please. Who's PGA fan? PGA fans at every table. Probably a very good player. Wouldn't he bet a queen? Not necessarily. If he's good, he won't, because he'll check to induce bluffs from all my potential bluffs, some portion of the time. This guy raises. We're going to 3-bet the queens every time. We do 3-bet. He calls. Beautiful flop. All right, take a second. Ask yourself, what would you do here? Man, you all know everybody. Okay, PJ fan is a guy. Tim Riley. Okay, good. I think he actually has an avatar of Tim Riley. That would make a lot of logical sense. I kind of presumed it was a random guy, but it's coming back to me now that actually is who that is. All right. So you're saying, everybody's saying check fold. Oh, goodness. How important is using a heads-up display? If nobody can use them, then it just levels the playing field a bit, right? Obviously, you don't want to be playing when everybody else can use a heads-up display and you're not, because then you're at a huge disadvantage. I give most of my volume to sites that allow heads-up displays because I use the heads-up display better than the vast majority of the opponents, I think. Obviously, some people do it way better. If you watch some of the super crushers who are like playing heads-up and whatnot, they have this gigantic heads-up display. The whole table's covered in stats. I'm not necessarily using that, but I think just knowing if people are loose or tight or aggressive, etc., is very, very valuable. So we have to either check or bet small here. I think either play is acceptable. As they get shallower and shallower, I typically check more often. Because if you bet and the guy raises, it just gets worse and worse. So I think I like checking or betting tiny. Like either play is fine. Check or bet tiny. Now, turns another ace, which is, well, pretty good for us, right? This is a spot where now we can either check or bet small again. At this point, I think our hand just got upgraded substantially because now we have to worry about fewer ace-x being in the opponent's range. If we bet, he's probably going to call with any pair, but he's also obviously going to call with an ace. If we do check, every once in a while, we don't get stacked by an ace if he checks, which would be great. So I think you can go either way here again between checking and betting small. Jason says unlikely he has an ace. Definitely not unlikely. It's definitely likely he has an ace. What do you mean? He raised pre-flop and he called a 3-bet off a short stack. Hands containing an ace are going to call a 3-bet more than hands containing any other card. If he did have ace-x, like ace-10 or worse, he's definitely going to check the flop if he's anywhere near competent, because he also has a marginal made hand. He realizes that he's not going to get outdrawn ever, so he does not need to bet bad ace-x's. And if he bets a bad ace-x on the flop to turn in the river, I'm going to call him down with exactly better ace-x's, right? So this is a spot where I definitely do not want to be assuming the opponent cannot have an ace. And I think again, like, if your opponents are really bad and they just always bet with an ace on the flop, that means when they check they have garbage, then sure, we just have the nuts. But I think I like checking to keep bluffs in his range. Check, he bets. All right, what do we do? But wouldn't he fold to a 3-bet with ace-9 or worse? No, if he had ace-x suited, he could definitely call. A lot of people call ace-x suited literally every time. He has pocket threes. Well, maybe. It's a nasty spot, right? Easy call, though. River's a king. Obviously, we're going to check the river. And right here, where you're just praying he checks. Because if he bets, I have to fold now. I don't really love the idea of folding here, but I don't really see any other good options. So, pretty rough spot. Check, check, though. When it goes check, check, do you think we win or do you think we lose? I think we lose a lot. I think we're going to beat a few underpairs that bet, but you got to think if the guy had like 8-7 of hearts, he would jam the river. So most likely here, he probably either has a king, which would make, some sense, although he doesn't really need to bet a king, does it? I don't know. It's a weird spot, right? Because you really shouldn't be betting the turn all that often. So since you shouldn't really be betting the turn all that often, I'm not sure. Not sure. Maybe we do win. Maybe he just doesn't have very many kings to bet the turn. Check, check. We win against Queen Jack offsuit. Should he jam Queen Jack offsuit on the river? I don't know. Depends how many bluffs he has. Are you ever folding queens pre-flop if someone goes all in? Yeah, if it goes raise, 3-bet, 4-bet, I'll fold queens. But in any normal action, no. That's the thing. People get in their minds like, oh, this hand's too good to fold. But like if you raise and someone 3 bets and someone 4 bets and someone 5 bets, then yeah, you obviously fold. If you raise and someone 3 bets you, don't 4 bet it and then fold it. That's just ridiculous. If you're going to 4 bet it knowing that you're going to call it off. You want to be 4 betting very polarized there. And when you 4 bet with a polarized range, you fold out your bluffs and you call your nuts. And queens is obviously in the nut part of your range. If you're not going to call it off against a jam, you probably want to just call the 3 bet to begin with. Louis Philippe says, should never jam queen jack here. I don't know. It's an interesting spot, right? Because if I do have queens, jacks, 10s, 9s, 8s, 7s, whatever. Not that I would 3 bet all those, but if I did have those, it's obviously a terrible spot. I don't know. I think this could be a jam. I don't know. If he bets all 3 streets, you look him up every street. No, absolutely not. I was going to fold to a river bet. I'm sitting here telling all of you I'd fold to a river bet. So, cool hand. All right, let's go to the next hand. Pocket 5s. We raise the 5s. Get 3 bet by a tiny stack. Yuck. I don't even know what I'm supposed to do in this spot. This is a rough one. Louis Philippe's pretty much right. I have tons of aces in my range. I do have tons of aces, but so does he, right? That's really the thing, is that he could actually have more aces in his range than I do at that point. I think that the standard play here is to probably just fold. I don't even know why I'm showing this hand. I probably end up ripping it in. Okay, so I flat. And look, I can tell you why I flatted here. Stacks aren't deep enough to set mine. Oh, we're not set mining. That should be obvious. Look, in this scenario, when the opponent only has 18 big blinds, we're not calling only to make a set. Right? In this scenario, we have to put in 3.5 big blinds to win a pot that's going to be 13. Do you think we can realize 25% equity in position with pocket 5s? It's kind of hard not to, really. Now, obviously, if the guy's range is exactly aces, then we should fold. But the guy's range is probably not exactly aces. Remember, we're playing a $2,500 buy-in tournament against people who are at least somewhat competent. So everyone who's saying fold here, I think, is a little bit too tight. Someone asked earlier, like, shouldn't you fold the ace-x suiteds to the 3-bet? Not really. I think a lot of you need to get better with being very sticky against good players. Because when you just fold 2 small 3-bets, you're just going to let your opponents completely run you over. How big does our pair have to be to jam here? I could have easily jammed 5s. I didn't know what I did in this hand. I think ripping it in with 5s could certainly be reasonable. A bunch of people watching on YouTube, but no one likes my content. Well, thanks, Kevin, for rubbing it in my face. That's fine. All right. Flop comes 8-6-6. Is jamming a small pair bad in that situation? Depends on what we think about the opponent's range. I clearly have no hands on this guy, right? I have 3 hands on him, so his stats are completely irrelevant here. If he's 3-betting a ton, yeah, sure, rip it in. Pre-flop. Now on the flop, this is a rough scenario. If you all do like the content, by the way, click like, click subscribe. I'd appreciate it. I realize when most people review hands with everyone, they do it pre-recorded, not live, and they say everything perfectly. Someone left a comment the other day that I said something slightly incorrect, and then I corrected it later or something. I don't even know what they were trying to say, but it's like, look, it's a live show, okay? We're not going to speak perfectly. I don't know. I think we should probably just jam. At this point, if we win the pot ever, it's just amazing. If he does not have a pair, he's going to fold. Which is great. Because whatever he has plenty of equity. Obviously, when we get called, it's terrible if we do jam. But I don't really think we have any other good options here. You have to understand, in order to like fold, you basically have to say, I think this guy's range is almost all pairs. Because, I mean, let me just show you. Let's give this guy a range of, what's the board? 8 of hearts, 6 of clubs, 6 of diamonds. Give me 5-5. Give the guy range of all big pairs. Remember, he 3-bet small, right? So his range should probably be pretty good. It might just be straight up linear. I don't know. Let's just give him this range, okay? Good, solid linear range. If he has a good, solid linear range, you see we have 38% equity, which is a lot. So if he has 38% equity, or if we have 38% equity, obviously folding's out of the question. The problem, though, is that if we jam, we're going to be getting called by basically everything that we lose to. Notice, however, if his range gets a little bit wider and it stays linear, right? Like, so let's say it goes like this, just a little bit wider. You see now we jump up to 43% equity. If we remove some of these linear hands and we add in some bluffs with, who knows exactly what he's going to be bluffing. I mean, who knows, right? It could be literally anything. If we add in some random bluffs like this, you see we also have 43% equity. So we have a lot of equity here. You say our equity is lower due to equity realization. If you jam, you always realize your equity. Anyway, all I'm saying here is that we actually have the best hand a lot. And the nice thing is that when we jam, notice this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What's 8 times 6? 48 combinations of pairs. That means he's going to fold to the jam roughly 2/3 of the time, which is a lot. If you can get your opponent to fold to a jam 2/3 of the time, you should probably jam. So I like the jam. He does fold. So that's good. Can you recommend a book for a novice? Does novice mean stone beginner, or does novice mean you already play some poker? Because those are different things. I do have a fundamentals course. Check it out at pokercoaching.com/fundamentals. That is for anyone who is rather new to poker. Down under from Sharky Perth. Pokercoaching.com member. Hello. Australia is fantastic. I love that place. Does your decision to jam change if the flop comes Jack, Jack 10? On Jack, Jack 10, you just fold. Jack, Jack 10 is terrible for me. You always have to ask, like, how does the board interact with the opponent's range? The 8 and the 6 are like, they might as well not even be on the board, right? They're very close to blanks. So it's important to realize that it's very close to blanks. And if the board is very close to blanks, it's more like our preflop range against his preflop range. And in that scenario, we are fine. So it's not just this is a paired board, so I'm doing blank. It's this is a paired board that does not connect with the opponent's range. What about 10-4-2, 10-6-2? Yeah, 10-4-2, 10-6-2, all those we're just going to be in. Do I have a plan for post-poker life? Don't know if we're ever going to get there. All right, pocket fives again. I hate pocket fives. It's a miserably bad hand. Raise, call, 3-bet again. Is this the same guy? It is the same guy. Okay, so same guy, different hand. Notice we had no stats on him initially. Look at these stats now. Look at the difference 30 hands can make. So now we have 37 hands on this guy. And he's a lunatic. This guy's a stone lunatic. This guy is a literal stone lunatic. All right, what do we do with our fives now? This was an easy one. Oh, sorry. He 3-bet us. So previously with the fives, I thought it was very close and marginal. And Jarrett's nailed it. 4-bet bluff. Easy all in here. Very, very easy all in. Just fold and move on. Oh, absolutely not. This guy has 27% 3-bet. This guy's 3-betting a load. Maybe you are not aware of that. This stat here is 3-bet percentage. Even without this 3-bet percentage, if you see 38, 32, 60% steal, this guy is insane. This guy's literally insane. You say good implied odds, but you actually don't realize your implied odds as well against reasonable post-flop players. You may against a stone lunatic. But this is definitely an all-in spot. This is like the classic all-in. You all ask, when you have a heads-up display, like, should you be using a heads-up display? And like right here is a spot where I think calling is normally viable. Calling is definitely normally viable. But, in this scenario, given the opponent's a lunatic, and he's 3-betting a ton, this is an easy jam. So you see that we've gone from dicey call pre-flop, which I would call here because it's basically the same spot as before. So it's a dicey call pre-flop normally. But because of the heads-up display and because of the stats we have, easy all in. What if he's not a lunatic? Like I said, just call. Anyway, easy all in here. They fold, which is great. We raise it up with the 7s, get called. We get a dream flop. I just remembered yesterday, I was making a deep run in the $250 game. They have 3 2-day tournaments on this site. We made day 2 of the 100 and the 2500. Right at the end of day 2 of the 250, we had a board like this. It was ace, queen, 8. He had pocket aces and I had pocket 8s. I was like, ugh. Okay. So anyway, maybe that was this hand. Is this going to be this hand? I hope it's not this hand. Okay. This is an easy spot to bet. We want to be betting frequently and kind of big here. Well, we want to be betting kind of infrequently normally, but with this hand we're going to be betting. And when we are betting, we're going to be betting relatively polarized, so we want to be betting pretty big when we do bet. We get called, which is great. Turns to 3. Opponent checks again. Take a second, ask yourself how much you bet here. Why don't you ever see me playing the super high buy-in tournaments? Well, 2 reasons. You can probably figure them out for yourselves. I'll give you a second to try to come up with two very obvious reasons. All right, pot's 18 big blinds. We need to bet an amount that gives him good odds to stick around while also not giving him great odds for when he does have a draw. I think something like 10 big blinds is fine. We don't want to bet too big because then he has literally no fold equity. We want to make sure he thinks he can still jam some portion of the time. But we don't want to bet like 6 because if we bet 6, then he's getting really good odds to call with draws. So I don't know. It's kind of a dicey spot. I think 9's pretty nice. I think this is good. But he just folds. And then that was kind of the end of the day. So we ended the day with... how's this chip stack work? I guess about 80 big blinds, which is good. 80 big blinds going into day 2 is nice. We did bet, he folded, and moved on with our life. So why not play very high stakes tournaments? Well, because I don't have $20 million yet. Maybe one day, but not yet. And I also don't have an ego problem yet. Maybe one day we'll get one of those too. That is the reason. This idea of, like, why don't you test yourself is kind of like not a great thought process in my mind, because what do you mean test myself? Like right here I'm playing against good online players. I mean, this is plenty of a test and I don't have to risk loads of money. And why don't we play high stakes cash games? Same reason, right? There's no reason. There's just like there's no purpose, right? And to be fair, like of the people who are playing the high stakes games, I actually have one good reason to, which one of you mentioned here, self-promotion, right? Go and play high stakes tournaments, win one, and then win the game. And to be fair, I play 25Ks and whatnot. 25K is kind of big. You'll have an ego problem once you have 20 million. Yeah, maybe that's how it works. To be fair, if I'm firing random $2,500 tournaments on a shady poker site, they may not even pay me if I win because the site may go down or get seized by the government. I mean, maybe I do have an ego problem, right? You have to be a bit of a lunatic to not care about the $10,000 you have to sit on this site that might as well be lit on fire. So anyway, that's that. But I play at as a new live player, are you asking if I would play at these or if you should go play at these? I think both places are fine. Best Bet Jacksonville and Hard Rock are both good places to go play. You notice that you need to improve on when and where to put pressure. Do you have any tips on study to increasing aggression? I have a literal book called Bluffs. Here it is. It's a book called Bluffs. This was actually kind of taken from a webinar I did on think it's like literally called Increasing Aggression. And I went and I updated that webinar and did that. So check out that book, Bluffs. But also just study at pokercoaching.com. We have tons of content there on bluffing and also developing fundamentally sound ranges. That is what the whole site is about, is developing fundamentally sound ranges and then how to adjust to take advantage of whatever your opponents do incorrectly. They've been around for many years and never ganked anyone's bankroll. Did you not hear what I said, DeFi? DeFi. I said the government may get them. The government has gotten many poker sites. I didn't even say they may go bankrupt because they default, because it's a company run by 2 people in an apartment in Costa Rica, right? Didn't even mention that. I tried to give them the benefit of the doubt. So be aware of that. What's a good EV big blind before moving up in stakes? 4 to 5? No, you need higher than that, unless you're playing high stakes. I think 4 to 5 means you're probably at roughly the right level you should be at. If it's like 8 or 9 or higher, maybe you can move up. You don't think Fader Holz has an ego problem. I didn't say anyone had an ego problem. I said that I don't have an ego problem. And I think for me, given I recognize I'm not one of the literal top 10 poker players in the world playing against the top 20 poker players in the world, I probably don't have much of an edge in the games, right? So, if you don't think you're one of the best poker players in the world, because you have to realize, you can be in the top 0.01% of poker players and still be a solid loser in random 100Ks, right? Because you're playing against the literal top 20 best poker players in the world. And look, I have no problems assessing myself and my skill level compared to others, and I think I'm pretty accurate about it. I've done a whole lot of buying and selling of action, and doing that will let you learn rough return on investments for people. And being able to look at someone else's game and accurately assess their skill level is very important. The problem is, as people get better and better than you, you don't actually know how much better they are than you, because it could be a little bit or it could be a ton. But I do know from talking to the people who play these $100,000 tournaments that they think return on investments are going to be like 5 or 10%. Okay, so if 5 or 10% is sort of the cap, that's the maximum you're going to have, and that's when the game has a few recreational players who are not very good. Do I want to, well, play with the short bankroll to begin with, because like I said, I don't have $20 million yet. Travel across the world, have to deal with getting money in and out of various places, which is sometimes a hassle, and play basically high-stakes sit-and-goes against many of the best players in the world? I don't think so. If I did have $20 million to my name, would I give it a shot? No, because the same story. I do not think I have the adequate skill set to beat the absolute toughest games in the world. What should be the first game goal for a beginner in a tournament? You should not really have goals while you're playing the tournament, in my mind. I just sit here and try to play good poker for as long as I can, until they tell me to leave because I have no chips. I don't have goals like, oh, double up or make it to the first break or anything like that. I have literally no goals like that, because those things don't matter. All you can do is just sit down and play good, fundamentally sound poker. After watching your videos, you had 25 EV big blind per 100. Wow, congrats. Good job. Good work. What skills do you need to develop to play in them? Tournaments? Oh, those games? You have to learn how to play closer to the game theory optimal strategy, accounting for ICM, which is very difficult to do. A lot of people are good at figuring out the game theory optimal strategy when there's no ICM or payout implications, but there are payout implications, and that really throws a wrench in things, and some people are better at it than others. What are the odds that some casinos will never or will close their card rooms if only 4 people are allowed? The smaller ones will probably close. The smaller things of a lot of things will fold or will close up because of the virus. Would you pay for full service gas versus self in this environment? Andy, I have never paid for self-service gas in my whole life, unless I've been through exactly states where they mandate you do self-service gas. My grandmother, she's not with us anymore, but she'd be like 120 now if she was. There was one place in her city that still had a full-service gas station, and she would always go to full-service gas station because she didn't know how to pump gas in her car. But they taught me at a young age how to pump gas. Y'all may not know this. I worked in an airport, and my job was to pump gas into airplanes. And if there was any skill involved whatsoever, I was quite good at it. Do we provide content on ICM adjusted optimal strategy? Yes. All right, I'm going to go. Have a great day. Enjoy yourselves. Thanks for being here. I think it's Memorial Day. Happy Memorial Day. Yeah, enjoy your day. If you have the off day, make the most of it. We have a new challenge that just launched. Check it out. What is this? Why does that keep coming up? Check it out at pokercoaching.com/tournament challenge. You have something to do every day for the next 30 days. You stick to that. You go through and you do all the exercises I have for you. You will be great at poker tournaments within 30 days. All you have to do is stick to it and be consistent. I have it laid out perfectly just for you. Which of my audiobooks would I recommend? Trying to get to the next level in big field tournaments. Check out Secrets of Professional Tournament Poker Volume 1. That book will... First off, it's really good in the audio format because there's not a ton of charts. But it's also like my guide to play tournaments. You think we will one day see the World Series of Poker main event, not a freeze out? I think most things will happen in time. So give it time. All right. Enjoy yourselves. Good luck. Have fun. Again, check out pokercoaching.com/30day. Oh, I'm sorry. pokercoaching.com/tournament challenge. Click like, click subscribe. I'll talk to you again next time.